Thank you for watching this MORK.org video of sharing the stories of other victims and advice on what to do if you are attacked and how to prevent it. First of all, I would like to thank the viewers who have been brave enough to share their own personal stories of being victims of violence. Today I will share with you two of these stories while protecting their anonymity. We encourage you also to share your stories if you have been a victim of violence. If you are one of the 8% who reported the crime, how were you treated by the police, judge, prosecutor, court? Was justice served, and what was the attacker's penalty? Or if you are one of the 90% who did not report the crime, please tell us what the circumstances were. As a victim of a violent attack in Zurich, I have a personal interest in decreasing violence against women and increasing the judicial process against violent criminals. The day before yesterday, I finally had surgery to repair my wrist that was fractured 7 months before. The surgeon said that my wrist should have been operated on immediately as it was so unstable that the tendons could have been severed at any time. Physical injuries of acts of violence may heal, but the mental and emotional damages persist, compounded by the fact that the judicial system does not function to prosecute violent criminals. Some of my viewers thanked me for sharing my story and said it gave them the strength to speak up and share their own stories. This is one from the 92% of victims who did not report the violent crime to the police. She is a highly educated and successful professional, but found herself in an abusive relationship that included domestic violence. She didn't report it to the police, but instead went to a counseling center for victims. They advised her against reporting it to the police and told her it would be too much for her and that it would be impossible for her to convince the judge or police as the assaults happened at home. Physical evidence, written proof, and testimony by family and friends would not be enough for a case, she was told. The counselor said that the likelihood that she would win is so small that the whole process would damage her more. Until today, the offender has never been reported, and he still tries to contact her. She was advised to report all of his contact attempts to the counseling center, but whenever she went to report these attempts, any men in the building who saw her would make remarks like, "Oh, one of those." They apparently didn't mind her hearing them openly judging her when she's going to a counseling center, which is clearly advertised for victims of violence. The second story is from one of the 8% of the victims who did report. She found herself in an employment situation where her male superior was a known sexual harasser and had already been reported for mobbing, misconduct, and sexual harassment at previous workplaces, as he himself openly bragged to her. She reported him as soon as the incident started with her. Even though all this information about him was known, and there were 5 other women before her who had also reported him at this new workplace, she had to fight for more than a half a year before getting assigned a new superior. During this time, the victim was victim blamed. She had to deal with sudden allegation from the offender's side, was pressured into legally questionable interrogations, was left alone without any legal support, while the offender enjoyed full protection and support from the company. Even though evidence existed in the form of videos, writing, and reports from more than 5 other different victims, his only punishment was that he was scolded and told to get counseling. He still works there. To report violent crimes or not? That is the question. Do victims not report because they believe it will make no difference, or is it the fault of the judicial processes that fail to prosecute to the fullest extent of the law? We know that half of the 92% who do not report believe it will make no difference. This must be changed by the judicial processes doing their jobs to protect the citizens that pay their salaries. Only by reporting crimes can criminals be stopped from committing future crimes. 22% of Swiss women over the age of 16 report having been victims of sexual assault, but 22% of Swiss men do not rape. There are serial rapists, and they can only be stopped by victims reporting. How to avoid being a victim and what to do if you are attacked. We have all heard the usual advice. Do not walk alone at night. Cross the street if you see potential attackers. Wear sports shoes in case you need to run. Go to self-defense classes. Buy pepper spray, but be careful when you use it. A woman in Germany was molested by a man and she pepper sprayed him and she was arrested for assault. This demonstrates how dysfunctional the entire system is. If you can provide us with legal advice, please contact me. Men do not need to live in fear and follow these practices. What to do if you are attacked? If he has a weapon and you cannot escape, do not resist. If he does not have a weapon, defend yourself to the best of your ability and try to get DNA under your fingernails by scratching your attacker. Scream as loud as you can. Get to safety. If you are alone, run to a public place. Call the police or have a witness do so. Gather witness information and ask them to wait for the police. Make a full police report. Go to the emergency center immediately and have your injuries documented and photographed. Have DNA collected. Contact the Victim of Violence Advice Group. They contact all who make police reports to give you advice on your rights. Ofer Health told me I could get a free lawyer, but what they did not tell you is that you will be denied and you will receive a bill for 600 francs just for applying for a free offense lawyer. Accused criminals get free defense lawyers. A judge and the prosecutor will contact you. Follow up with them. You will need to press them for your right to a speedy legal process and instruct the prosecutor in writing that you intend to press for prosecution to the fullest extent of the law. Be sure to take all of these steps required until the violent attacker is found guilty. If you are the victim of any form of violence, report it to the police immediately and follow through until justice has been served to the maximum extent of the law. You owe yourself the vindication, but you are also protecting future potential victims. Reporting violent crimes is the only way to stop violent criminals from committing future crimes. I appeal to all who believe in the rights of victims of violence and hope that you will support MORK.org. MORK.org is a Swiss charitable association for women's interests, including victims of violence, equal opportunity in work and law, reproductive rights access, the environment. To make your Swiss tax-deductible donation or to donate your time or your legal professional advice, please contact us via MORK.org@yahoo.com, and please see our videos on Twitter @orgmork, YouTube, MORK.org Swiss Association, or LinkedIn. Thank you for viewing.